to be a Michigan Wolverine football junkie. I'm Jeremy Miller. I'm your host, and we're going to jump right in to some information coming out of spring practice. Mike Sanderstrill, who was obviously a third down, he's a possession slot type wide receiver. He's moved over to defensive back. It's a better opportunity for him to try and get on the field with the emergence of Roman Wilson, A.J. Henning, Andrell Anthony, Ronnie Bell coming back, Cornelius Johnson is still there. Not to mention, you have some freshmen coming in as well. That doesn't, that's not a huge deal. It's not a loss on the wide receiver, from the wide receiver room. Junior Colson, from what everybody is saying, he looks healed up and he looks a lot faster than what he did last year. And he looked really good last season. So that's really good news, especially with the loss of Ross right there. So I'm very eager to see what Junior Colson can do this season. Oluwatimi is an upgrade at center, a lot are saying already, just out of spring practice. We had a phenomenal offensive line last year, but I am eager to see what Oluwatimi can do this year. A couple other ones that, a lot of news coming out. Julius Welschoff, he's out of Germany, and he really hasn't made a lot of plays so far. Hasn't done a lot, but they're saying that he's kind of making a move this year. Between last season and this past offseason, he's taken that next step. The other one that has been advertised as taking that next step is Mike Morris. Some will argue he took a step last year because you saw him come out a lot and he made some plays. He was that third guy in the rotation for pass rushers between Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo. So Mike Morris taking another step could be huge. We don't have that established pass rusher. Coming into last season, everybody knew Aiden Hutchinson was really good. We don't have that for sure guy as far as a pass rusher. You still got Jalen Harrell, several others, but just hearing that out of those two, that's really nice. Clemens, they've said that he has looked phenomenal. He has claimed the number 0 to wear as a Michigan Wolverine, and he's only the third player in Michigan history to wear that number. Andre Selden and Giles Jackson being the other ones. Hopefully he can make this number mean something. Giles transferring and Selden transferring this offseason as well. Or he's entered the transfer portal. I don't believe he has picked a destination yet. Will Johnson will wear the number 2. Keon Sabb is going to wear number 3. Number 4 to Amarion Walker. Some news that came out. Harbaugh has raved about Amarion Walker. This is a raw wide receiver with lots of athletic talent. He ran a 6.25 second 3-cone drill. That's huge. That's very fast. He also had a 43-inch vertical. And if I remember right, I believe Walker's 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", something like that. But to have that type of leaping ability at that size as well, man, you're talking about a guy who's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I mean, that's a guy that you want to get in a one-on-one matchup and let him go up and get it. What defensive back could hang with that? Derek Moore, our pass rushing defensive end, edge rush specialist that we picked up in this recruiting cycle, he's going to wear number 8. Quarterback Alex Orji out of Texas is going to wear number 10. Cody Jones, a defensive back out of Tennessee, is going to wear number 12. Tyler Morris, fresh off of his injury, he's out there running routes. He is working out with the team. He's going to wear number 13. Number 16 to quarterback Jaden Denegal. Colson Loveland's going to wear number 18, tight end that we picked up out of Idaho. There is a rumor that he has a possibility to land at defensive end. Well, edge rusher, stand-up edge rusher. I think it's probably unlikely, but if something happens where he just doesn't look like he's going to get the playing time at tight end, he's not picking it up, whatever, that's a guy who could move. I mean, you're talking about a very athletic tight end in Colson Loveland. So man, I don't know what that would do. I haven't really seen him play a lot of defense. Most of his tape is as a wide receiver or as a tight end. So that'd be interesting. Be very interesting. Number 24 is going to go to defensive back number Miles Pollard. Mason Graham is going to keep the same number he had in high school. He's going to have number 55. He plays defensive tackle, but at center, our transfer, Oluwatimi, will wear also number 55. And our first commit for the 2022 class, Connor Jones, and also our lowest rated member of the class, is going to wear number 60. But I love that he's in early. I think with his size and potential, it helps. I mean, this is a guy that I can see him playing tackle at Michigan. I can see him actually starting in the future. So let's jump into the last of our recruiting class. With the 2022 class, I am going to hit on Andrew Gentry. Andrew Gentry has spent the last 2 years on a mission, without any weight training or anything. So he was the number 8 overall tackle in the 2019 season. I'm sorry, for the 2019 season, which would make him a 2020 commit. So, I mean, he's a monster tackle. I think he's going to be a right tackle in college. I think he will also be the biggest offensive lineman since John Runyon to man that position as well. So there's a lot to go into Andrew Gentry. I mean, he's a guy he hasn't played football in 2 years. He hasn't had weights in 2 years. Now, he can still do body weight exercises, but that can only go so far for a college player. In my opinion, there is zero chance that Andrew Gentry can play college football this season. He has to redshirt, really work on his body and getting back up to speed. I don't believe he's even done with his mission until May, but he is still one that is a phenomenal prospect, 6'8", 300 pounds in 2020. Jimmy Rolder is next up on our list. He's a 4-star, number 220 overall. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, runs the 40 in 4.6 seconds. And that's just based off of some math done by MGO Blog, taking what he ran in baseball in the 60 and changing it to a 40. So I use that number. But the first thing that jumps off the page when you're watching Jimmy play is his burst and aggression. He has this phenomenal burst where he goes from almost 0 to 100 in a split second. Now, he does have good speed. He's not going to run a 4.4. That's not what he's, but he gets up to full speed extremely fast. He will lay some big hits. But the other thing that really jumps off the page when you watch Jimmy is he keeps his head up. He doesn't get out over his feet. He stays under control. Control is probably the best word you can describe Jimmy, because it's controlled aggression and speed. So, he'll sink down and explode into the tackle, and he puts some guys down. So Jimmy Rolder, expect him to start at Michigan in not that far of a future, I don't think. I mean, I know we got some talented players, but Rolder could be special. Next up is Kenneth Grant. He's a nose tackle. Man, this is a big guy. This is the biggest defensive tackle we've got in a while. He's a 3-star, number 450 overall, which I just think that nose tackles don't get the notoriety. They don't get the ratings I think they should. I mean, when you hear a little bit about what Kenneth Grant is and when you hear a little bit about what Kenneth Grant is and what he could potentially do, you'll understand what I mean and his comparison. And I know I'm going to probably get a lot of crap for this, but comparing Kenneth Grant to Jordan Davis coming out of high school is not that big a stretch at all. I mean, he's basically just a little bit shorter than Davis coming out of high school. He's probably carrying a little bit more weight as well. Now they list him at 340 pounds at 6'4". Davis is 6'6", and I believe he was like 320, 330, or at least that's what they said. I swear the shadow of his ass was 300 pounds. But he's a little bit slower than Davis coming out of high school. I think he probably has better hands than Jordan Davis did coming out. Kenneth Grant has big, strong hands. I think he's very agile. He can just roll right through people. Oh yeah, by the way, Jordan Davis coming out, he was number 424 overall. He was also a 3-star. So Jordan Davis, Kenneth Grant, not that far apart. I think Kenneth has a very nice first step and huge power, enormous frame, and this is exactly the type of player you want on this defense. I mean, if whether we stay at a 2-4-2, two down linemen like we had last year with Mozzie Smith, Chris Henton, you had 4 linebackers between Ross, Colson, Ajabo, and Hutchinson. Whether you stay at that or you go to a traditional 3-4, Kenneth Grant can fit in either of those situations. He's going to have his hand in the dirt. He's going to be taking up a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of blocks to let those players behind him run around and make plays. I love this pickup, and we probably need to recruit at least one of these guys every year. We may not get everyone. They may not actually work out. So just like quarterback and anything else, you need a steady supply of certain positions in. This is one of them if we stay with this defense, which we obviously are, picking up Jesse Minter. Next up, Marlon Klein. He's a tight end. He's a 3-star, number 553 overall. He's 6'6", 225 pounds. This is a former wide receiver. He just kept growing. He claims to run a 4.5 40. That's pretty fast for a tight end. I mean, what'd Kyle Pitts run? A 4.4? He was in the mid 4.4s, right? And you expect Marlon Klein to get faster getting into college. Now, he does have to bulk up, so depending on how much weight he puts on, he could, he may not. But the best part I like is that he's going into that tight end room where you have Grant Newsome. He's played tackle, so he knows how to block. He's also helped in an off-field position. He's also helped coach those tight ends and the offensive line the last few years. Klein is going to continue to grow as a blocker, and Grant Newsome, Sharon Moore. I love having a guy like Klein, who's a former wide receiver, moving to tight end. Obviously, he's not going to have all the nuances built up. He's also, coming from Germany. Just a few years ago, he wasn't even in America playing football. Now, I think he came in as a freshman, and he played one game in his freshman year. So he has sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. This isn't like Daniel Falele, who went to Minnesota, who was coming over here from Australia, that had never played football before and got to play basically one season at IMG before earning a scholarship at Minnesota. Next up, you have number 0, Darius Clemens. Man, you want to talk about a big-time pickup. We stole him from Clemson, and he's a 4-star, number 143 overall, 6'4", 210 pounds, and anywhere between a 4.34 40 and a 4.49 40. I did watch the tape where he ran a 4.3. It's I'm not sure. I think he's a 4.4 guy. He could get faster, but I mean, think about how big this guy is. He's a big time flip He's big, fast, good hands, runs well after the catch. He's got it all. I mean, he's got a really nice catch radius. He goes up and gets it. He'll beat his man and the safety over the top in high school. You watch the tape. He just goes right by him. They had one-on-one coverage on the outside. They have a safety playing back and playing deep, and he just didn't get going fast enough. Darius just runs by both of them, catches the ball behind the safety, and runs for a touchdown. You're already hearing stuff out of spring ball about Clemens. He's just different. That this is the guy that, I mean, if there are some injuries or Clemens just kills it in spring ball and fall camp, could he be one of the best freshman wide receivers in Michigan history? Yeah, it's possible. You know why? Because we don't have that great history with freshman wide receivers. Our number one overall freshman receiver only had like 540 yards. I mean, here's the thing is we're going to have a phenomenal offense, but we also have tons of weapons. It's unlikely Darius will be able to do that because of everybody else needs to touch the ball. But he's got that type of talent, I guess, is the biggest thing I was trying to get at. Next up is a guy who could be throwing him the ball down the road. That's Jaden Denegal. He's 6'5", 224 pounds, and he's a 3-star, number 458 overall. He's going to wear number 16, if you remember. Jaden is a passing quarterback who can run, but he prefers to throw. You do see him kind of move around back there. You will see him run for first downs. And at 6'5", 224, I mean, he's a big guy. This is kind of reminds me of Dante Culpepper as far as the way he carries himself, his running. He has a short, compact delivery with a partial, it's like a 3/4 throwing motion. So it's not directly over the top. It's not like a sidearm, a la, Phillip Rivers or something like that. He kind of goes, in the 3/4 position, but it's really short, compact delivery. That's a good thing as far as getting the ball out quickly. He is really a prospect who could do something down the line, but am I sold that he will 100% make it as a starter at Michigan? No, I'm not. Absolutely not. I think he could easily transfer out in 2 years and never play it down here. Or as a junior, you could see him being the starter. I mean, there's that big of a swing for Jaden. By the time he does play, could he grow another inch? Could he add some more weight? Yeah. Could he be 6'6", 240 pounds? Sure. This is a new Michigan team. We're not recruiting the type of players we did in the past with the big, tall, statuesque quarterback. Jaden will run. So he has a little bit of both. Next up, we have number 2, Will Johnson. He's a defensive back. He's a 5-star player out of Detroit. Number 14 overall in all the rankings. He's a tall defensive back, 6'2", 180. Will is special. I think he could have potentially been a 5-star wide receiver. But at corner, I mean, that's about the best you can say is he's just special. He could play cornerback. He could play safety. They moved him to safety in high school because he'd be on one side or the other, and whatever side he was on, the other team would just go to the other side. So this way, Will could be in on more plays and be able to impact the game more. You saw him play wide receiver. You saw him play defensive back, special teams. Will Johnson's really good. He's super smooth. He has a quick back pedal, a great burst. He has just everything you want in a cornerback. But at 6'2", man, he can hold his own with some of those taller wide receivers. I don't have a 40 time for him. He did not look like I don't remember seeing him get beat deep in any camps. I didn't see, wide receivers running past him on the field. I think that he probably runs high 4.4s. If I were to guess, watching this film, you see him even with players that had better angles to beat him to the sideline to cut him off, he'd just run past them. But when he didn't, he could just throw on the brakes and go back the other way and still score. Will has that it factor, and I would not be surprised to see him play next season. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate and review us 5-star on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you may listen. If you want to reach out, you can always find me on Twitter. I'm at FBJunkie_. You can find me on Facebook, Jeremy Miller. And I will be getting a online phone number so that way people can text in, ask questions, find out about what's happening if I happen to know. I appreciate everybody listening. Thank you for taking the time. And as always,
it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine. It's great to be a Michigan